Welcome to the Parable Arrows podcast, where we wrestle with story to seek deeper truth. We believe that engaging with the art of the world can help us discern more of what God, as the true artist, is trying to reveal in the beauty of his story. Join us as we discuss movies, ideas, and practice engaging with art, God's word, our thoughts, and each other.
Hey Archers, welcome to another episode of the Parable Arrows podcast. My name is Josh, and I am quaffing the Raven. That's pretty good,
Femi.
right?
Oh, that's pretty good. And I'm Femi, and I'm back without a vengeance after some time off.
So today's episode, the movie we're going to be discussing is The Pale Blue Eyes, starring Christian Bale. It came out actually in 2022, and so the reason we picked this movie is right now as we're recording, it's kind of mid-October, so we wanted to pick a film that was a little bit spooky, and so there's some murder mystery that is at the forefront of this film. And when we discuss films on the Parable Arrows podcast, we use this breakdown called SMART, which stands for summary, message, audience, rethink, and then theology, or the word at the end. So we want to make sure that all our discussions around stories always point back to scripture, which is the grand story, no matter what content we're consuming.
Absolutely.
So with that, here is our summary of The Pale Blue Eye. Retired alcoholic detective and widower of Augustus Landoor is at his cottage when approached by officers from West Point to solve issues with the death of a student. They bring up the fact his daughter has apparently also run off. They want to rule out foul play and ensure confidence in the school where people depend on safety in the preparation of solid soldiers. Landoor examines the body of the student, Leroy Fry, with the school doctor, Daniel Marquise. They see his heart has been cut out, a blunt object has struck him in the head, and a note was in his hand suggesting murder. Landoor is intrigued by the case. Although the school has requested his sobriety and discretion, Landoor goes to his local bar and sees the barmaid with whom he has a sexual relationship and other acquaintances. He also spots young cadet E.A. Poe. Poe is intriguing and peculiar, so Landoor tries to use him to get more information on the case. After interviewing other cadets, he finds that the timing between the cadet being found dead and the time of the heart being removed left a gap. The murder and removal of a heart from a cow and sheep lead to the suspicion of black magic rituals being the culprit. After some investigations by Poe, the two learn that the doctor's son has a small group of friends that are the rabble-rousers in the West Point school. Poe infiltrates and befriends the group at cost to himself, ingratiating himself with Artemis Marquise and Randolph Ballinger, Artemis's number 2, it seems. Poe gets invited to the Marquise house and meets Marquise's daughter. He is bewitched by her beauty, but also notices she is not well. Ballinger seems jealous of Poe's words and immediate connection to Leah and their planned date. Ballinger later attacks Poe, who is saved by Landoor. But the next body is Ballinger's that is found. Landoor finds out Poe did, in fact, also know Fry. Poe, for a moment, becomes a suspect as he learned of Leah's sickness, but he was quickly absolved. The critical moment in the relationship between Poe and Leah is her having a seizure, which does not actually impact his affection for her, it only deepens it. Then, another cadet, Stoddard, leaves without permission, seemingly fearing death next. After Poe vehemently denies, on basis of so many opposers, that he killed the two cadets, they agree to continue work. Landoor and Poe suspect the batch of students have performed black magic rituals to help Artemis and his father to cure Leah. After confronting Marquise, Landoor gets a confession. This is not before Poe is drugged after entreating Leah. He awakens in the midst of a ritual where Artemis and Leah are preparing to take his heart out of his chest. Landoor arrives and a fire starts, killing Artemis and Leah, but giving enough evidence that the case closes with Leah and Artemis labeled as the killers. Poe does not feel right about the blame on Leah, and so he approaches Landoor. He gets evidence from the barmaid, the timing, and other clues, and sees that there are similarities in the notes, and that, in fact, Marquise's family's witchcraft was the perfect cover for Landoor, the real killer, to kill the young cadets. Landoor admits that he killed the boys as revenge. Leroy Fry, Ballinger, and Stoddard had raped Landoor's daughter, Maddie, years earlier. Landoor confesses he does not have the will to track down Stoddard, but hopes he is forever worried and looking over his shoulder. In her grief and confusion, and as a religious young girl, we learn that Maddie was so traumatized and hurt by this event that she takes her own life. Poe destroys the evidence. Poe is left with a moment where he could take the evidence and have Landoor convicted, but he instead decides to burn the pieces of paper he has convicting Landoor. Landoor's touched as he planned for Poe to discover the truth and get him arrested and executed, but instead he is left free. He goes to Maddie's final resting place, hoping she is at peace. So Femi, when you watched this movie and made it to the end, what did you think was a core message or idea it was trying to get us to wrestle with?
I think that I was left, obviously in a murder mystery, there's this idea of the truth will set you free and things being found out. It's always good when things are found out. But the real message for me was that love causes the strangest reaction when improperly applied. Like a brother willing to cut out the heart of a hanging dead student, like that's a lot to love your sister. Like to do black magic, like that's a lot for trying to help your sister feel better, when you have a lot of other things going for you and your family. The Landoor in loving his deceased wife and daughter so much, like killing 3 people, like wanting to kill 3 people and planning it. And then Poe not being played by Harry Melling, who's Dudley Dursley, if you remember the Harry Potter movies. Great job in the movie, but he's an outcast and he enters himself into this extremely dangerous situation for love of the mental intrigue and also love of Leah, or attraction to Leah. And that's a lot of mistaken decisions for like loving and caring for somebody. And so I think left with like the idea that love misapplied
that reminds
is
me of
dangerous.
One of the key chapters in the book The Great Divorce by C.S. Lewis, where he kind of explores that idea where there's like a mom who is like upset that she comes from the Gray City, which is considered hell, and she's angry because her son isn't coming down from the mountain to get her. And the narrator's confused of like, well, isn't that love? Like if the son loves her enough, like shouldn't she come down? And he's like, but this is a one-sided love, so it's not really true love. Like, why can't she go to her? And so yeah, I agree. And that was maybe a similar or variation of your message for me, was this idea that when we have really hard, heavy things happen to us and there's like a specific culprit, kind of to the idea of love, but also of justice, right? So like if I see that there is an injustice that is so graven that I need to go after it and make sure that no matter what, the right people are held accountable, like that is almost like a weird kind of love too, because like I want the people who were affected by that injustice to be set free of like, knowing that people had the consequences or whatever. And so seeing Landoor just weave this really tricky and genuinely surprising thing where I got to that moment where I was like, oh snap. Like I didn't think this was him, but then, tying all the threads together and seeing, just like what the level of pain his daughter was feeling, the fact that it's still kind of ambiguous, I think, in the movie what happened to his wife, but I think it was just illness, I want to say.
I think so, yeah.
But, like this is a guy plagued by really traumatic events in his life, and then to see that affect his daughter to the point that he can't be there enough for her or help her work past that, and just the level of things we would do to bring justice. So I think that's another message of this movie.
Yeah. I've been thinking a lot about how we are to react when things hurt us. And I find that there's like 2 really big categories, which is one, we want the person who hurt us to accept the blame, to like acknowledge that you hurt me and you should know that you hurt me. And the hard thing there is that sometimes people actually do just say, yeah, sure, I'm sorry I hurt you. And they don't really care about, like, but they might fully cognitively understand that they hurt you. It doesn't really change the fact that they hurt you, though. So sometimes, like, you go further and you're like, I want revenge for this person to feel what I felt. And so the extreme version of that is something like Landor does, right? When somebody hurts you, and I've seen it with like two little kids, that one hits one and the other one like wails on the other one, like, just because I want you to feel what I felt. And that's not healthy. The other extreme version would be, I want to forget the pain. I want to do something immediately to forget the pain. And I mean, apologies to anybody who has somebody in their life that is struggling with any type of addiction, but you're choosing an action that doesn't actually heal, but it does get you away from thinking about the pain. So somebody who is a sex addict, a drug addict, a alcoholic, there's something where there are many, many options for them to choose. Like, they could choose to run a marathon. They could choose to like go to the gym. They could choose to cry. They could choose to, like, you know, admit themselves into a psych ward or whatever to try to heal. But of all the decisions, the one that helps me forget is the one that I want to pick. And so my challenge to you as an audience member would probably be like, which one do you sort of fall into? Do you want people to feel guilty when they hurt you and to feel bad, like they made you feel bad? Or do you want to like forget that you feel bad and just like run after, let's go camping, let's go to a party, let's go eat out, let's go do everything that makes me forget that life is hard because that hurt. And to realize like, oh, there is another option, many other options, but another way of like, I need to acknowledge that I feel bad, but I own my feelings. I feel bad. I don't want to feel bad. I can get this person to admit they hurt me. I can go off and like just try to have so much fun that I don't ever worry about anything. But I'm not actually dealing with the fact that I don't feel bad and I don't have like, or I feel bad and I don't have really good coping mechanisms and healing mechanisms to feel restored. I just keep sort of running to blame people or seek fun. So this is an example of people who are running to black magic, and or running to revenge, like in that way, instead of going, I need to provide this evidence to the police, have it go through the justice system, and acknowledge like, I will not see my wife or my daughter again. Like, I am going to continue to be teased by my classmates. My daughter might just be sick the rest of her life, and I have to figure out how to deal with it. But those are hard questions when you're in pain. So,
yeah, well, it's something, and I've always thought that, you know, sometimes we can overfocus our interpretation of Jesus's words that the truth will set you free to mean purely from sin. But I think, as you mentioned in your opening, kind of explaining, there is something I think in the truth of like what you just said. The truth for Landor is no matter what he does, his daughter isn't coming back. No matter what he does to these other guys, it's never going to fully heal the wounds that have been done and the tragedies that have happened. You know, for Marquise, no amount of crazy voodoo juju in the basement, you know, is going to take away his daughter's seizures. And I think, and I just wonder this too, of our relationship with God, of when we suppress that kind of truth, are we actually also suppressing his ability to step in and to spiritually work within us and renew healing that is beyond what we can do? Because if I can't acknowledge what's truly wrong, which is someone severely hurt me, or that I feel like I missed my boat in life, or, you know, the whole spectrum. I think you brought some examples of high level, like intense things that people tend to go through. But I think even daily for us, you know, as I'm doing these tech conversations for the academy, I'm just almost overwhelmed by how many technologies are getting created to help people escape from stuff.
Yeah.
And to like escape, I don't want to be awkward. Like, I don't want to have to, you know, have this take too long, or I don't want to learn this skill. I don't, you know, it's just all this like escaping some kind of discomfort. And I think that should really make us think about how we deal with emotions and thoughts as they come. And if in our suppression of them, we're actually, in a way, quelching the spirit or what God could do in us to maybe heal on a deeper level.
I think that a lot of people are. And if you're somebody, as you're listening to this, who's like, I just don't feel the energy to have certain deep conversations and hard conversations with people who hurt me. I just get too emotional. You can just tell them that. Like, hey, I have something to tell you. I can't talk about it at length right now, but know that like we need to get back to good, and it's going to take a while because I feel hurt, but I'm not going to just like give you the silent treatment or act like you wanting to talk about it is your fault. You wanting to talk about it is because I just told you something hard that like we're not good. Of course you want to try to figure out how to solve it. But it's just hard for me. And to take that on yourself, right? You are responsible for your own emotions because your emotions are based on your perspective. So when somebody's emoting in a way that you don't understand, it's remember that their perspective is why they're doing it in a way you don't understand. Not that they're doing the wrong thing or they're having the wrong reaction. Like when it's bedtime and I have a 4-year-old whining, I'm like, yo, there's nobody hurting you, screaming at you, yelling. It's just bedtime. And I could think she's doing it wrong, but from her perspective, that's different. And so like to be patient with that. And same with in your marriage, with your friends, with your family, extended family, like that crazy uncle, that crazy aunt, like their perspective has been shaped. And it might take a while for you to be able to say like, hey, I feel uncomfortable. Like we will have to talk about this at some point. But I want to get back to like full connection. So,
yeah, for sure. What do you think? Because I'm just thinking of things that have happened in my family or like even Gloria's family. What do you think to that idea? Like, I think that's a great heart intent for us to want to always be pursuing. Like, I think of what Scripture says of as much as it's up to you, be at peace with all men. What do you think of then when, kind of to the idea of Landor, we might have to give up the idea that things can be good or like can go back to good? Does that make sense? Where it's like the truth might be that we have to accept is like, because I think sometimes we might say like, well, no, there's no way this relationship can get healed and blah, blah, blah. And so we use that as an excuse to not engage it.
Yeah.
But I think of other relationships where there is genuine, loving, compassionate, patient, direct engagement that isn't causing any healing, and where there might be the truth to set us free that it's like there isn't going to be a restoration, either in a good way or to what it was.
I think that like everybody is building their model of the world and how it works as they grow up, like from babies to like everyone. Like when your mom leaves the room when you're 3 months old, you're like, oh my gosh, she's gone forever. But by the time you're 7, you realize when she walked to go to the bathroom, she'll be back soon. I think that a really like sort of less weighty example would be, let's say there's 2 people who are dating. They have the same friend group and they break up. They have to redefine what good is together. Like, hey, how do we stay friends if we still want to meet with these same people? Or do we have to like redefine what good is? A more extreme example would be Javert in Les Miserables. He realizes, oh, I'm wrong in the way I built my model of the world, that people who do bad things are just bad. Because now somebody who I've labeled as bad for decades has just saved my life. And instead of going, okay, I need to rework on my model, he just gets completely traumatized and, takes his own life. And I think that that's really the thing that like you have to realize, oh, I have to rebuild my model. Like I prayed. God didn't do the thing I want him to do. This person's gone, or this thing is still hurting me. This thing is still bad. So I need to redefine what good is for him through him. And that's hard for people to do because once we find something that's good, we like to hold on to it. I think a lot of relationships that splinter are like just not having the conversation of, hey, how do we redefine what good is now? Because it can't be romantic. It can't be XYZ. It can't be that we hang out so frequently. But what is our new good? And remembering that there's a lot of new good. It doesn't have to just be that things are broken. Leah could have had, instead of trying to fix this one thing and feeling stress about it in the Pale Blue Eye, she could have been like, hey, I can't do this stuff. I can't do that stuff. But man, look at all these people who like really appreciate me. Look at all these people around me, and let me figure out something else that I can do. Instead of just trying to remove the thing that's the big focus in my life. And that's just hard for humans because we're always building that model. That's what I would probably say to that.
Yeah. Well, even to use the movie deeper in that moment, Leah misses the boat on Poe, who
Yeah.
literally, when she has a seizure, he's like, oh my gosh, like actually this feels like I'm deeper connected to you because I feel like I deal with some of these things.
Mm-hmm.
But she's so fixated on like solving the problem, healing it, that she completely misses that there's this guy who isn't set aback by the struggles that she has.
Yeah.
And, that might be, I think, something for us to wrestle with too, is if our obsession is in fixing the thing, like specifically, that we might miss out on, maybe there's some good in front of us. Kind of like you said, like if God is infinitely good, that there's lots of good and things can
Mm-hmm.
take shape in lots of different good, but that takes us letting go of our expectations of what that good is.
Yeah.
So
I would also
I think that's great.
suggest to parents, if your kids are hitting different milestones, you might have to have that conversation of like redefining what good is, rather than just having, while they're in your house, it's a parent-child relationship, it's a parent 2-year-old relationship, it's a parent 4-year-old relationship, it's a parent 7-year-old relationship. And those should be different. You should not treat a 7-year-old like a 2-year-old. You should not treat a 16-year-old like an 8-year-old. But having that conversation with your kid can make sure that they understand, okay, you do see that I'm changing and growing. You're not just trying to just, always son me or daughter me. But
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to remember, oh yeah, they can drive now. I should probably talk to them differently about what my expectations are. Oh, they like are dating somebody now. I should talk about them, what my expectations are. Versus just going, they are my son or daughter and they should do what I say.
Yeah, totally. So usually when we talk our message, we kind of close out seeing if we agree or disagree with what we've said. So, obviously we kept running with it. So there's a part that we disagree. Is there anything from the message of this movie about the idea of truth, love, vengeance that you maybe disagree with, or you would caution someone in how they think about those ideas?
This is sort of lame. So I am like not the most attractive person in the world. Thank God my wife doesn't care about that. But like I objectively know that I'm not the most attractive person in the world. I think that when I was a kid, I felt that people weren't like giving me a shot or a shake. And so I had to redefine it from um, this person is being mean to me to I'm going to continue to develop myself as a person to where this person goes, oh man, I missed out on him. Like just reframe. I think that vengeance, if you're looking at revenge, one of the best things you can do is try to live a life of joy. And so instead of trying to make other people suffer, how can you find something so good that it's the person realizes like, oh my gosh, I didn't have as much of an effect as I wanted to negatively impact you. And I call it vengeful joy, but just vengeful joy is something, instead of vengeance, choose joy, choose to seek the light, choose to seek the best, and go, you know what, if people don't like me, like I am still sinful, but also let me just continue to try to be the best person I can be and make them like 10 years from now go, oh man, I missed out on having a good friend at the very minimum, and yeah, that's what I'd probably say right now.
Yeah, that's great. No, I think that's a great word to close out part 1 of the Pale Blue Eye of our discussion. We will see you hopefully in section 2, where we are going to talk about our audience and our rethink. So we will see you in part 2.